All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Proceed with Passion Q&A live session. Terry Schilling here. And with me, my guest is Latasha James from Detroit, Michigan. Latasha, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, everybody watching along in the group and on YouTube in the Facebook Copy Co-op group, please feel free to ask any questions along the way as we dive into some topics here with Latasha about freelancing, social media marketing, also monetizing and scaling your business as a freelancer. Well, Latasha, I just want to say something that were able to give me my first podcast guest appearance. That was my first
That's
one.
awesome.
So I thank you for that.
Oh my gosh.
A big part of my freelance career, as we say.
That's so awesome. That's one of my favorite episodes. I love it. And I still get comments about it.
Do you?
And a lot of my audience really enjoyed that one. So you delivered some gems. So you guys definitely have to tune into that.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely. I feel like we need to do that again. I feel like I'm going to have you back here again as well, because I feel like there's so much that we can talk about, because we did have a great conversation. And yeah, Latasha, if you want to give a quick elevator pitch, because you do host the Freelance Friday podcast, but you have a slew of things that you're working on and that you have available for people.
Yeah. So I am a marketer and a content creator. I have a YouTube channel, Latasha James, and a podcast, the Freelance Friday podcast. So that's where I deliver most of my content for fellow freelancers. And then I also have a marketing company that I do like video marketing, social media marketing, and things like that. It's called James and Park. So yeah.
Awesome. And so what I like to do in these Proceed with Passion Q&As is go through your LinkedIn experience and kind of really show and get to really how you came across, starting your own business and some of the past experiences and the lessons learned. So if you're ready for that, Latasha, we'll go back Western Michigan University, Kalamazoo, Michigan, studied film, video, and media studies. Yeah. Is that always kind of a passion for yours growing up, to maybe like what type of media and film did you want to be on screen, more producing, maybe more journalistic?
Yeah. So it was always a passion of mine. I took my first film class actually in high school. We had like it was called Education for the Arts program. So we went off campus and we got to, work with real cameras and things like that my senior year of high school. So I kind of caught that bug. And then I actually didn't know what I wanted to major in. I went to community college first for the first year because I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And I credit my public speaking professor actually for why I decided to go into comms and specifically film. I grew up super shy, which a lot of people are surprised about because of what I do now, but I was terrified. I actually had a speaking problem. I was in speech class for a long time. I couldn't say R. I still can't really say it.
Yeah, I struggle with that too. I'm bad with it as well. Yeah.
So anyway, I was terrified of public speaking. I took this public speaking class because it was just a prereq, and I loved my professor. I loved the class. I ended up just being obsessed with it. And so I'm going to take all this guy's classes. And he just happened to be a comms professor. And then I fell into that. And I kind of leaned back into my passion and realized that film was in the School of Comms. So I was like, okay, let's just do that. Yeah. And I minored in political science. And so I really wanted to work in the news. That was kind of my goal. And either on camera or off camera. I mean, I wasn't really sure. I found out that I liked being on camera once I started doing some of my newsroom classes and stuff. But yeah, that's sort of what I wanted to do. And along the way, I sort of started to freelance in college, and it took me on a different path. So
that's super interesting. And I forget if we talked about it when we chatted on your podcast, but I pretty much almost have an identical upbringing because I took a speech class in high school, my senior year, and I feel like I personally felt like I thrived in that. As I was shy too in high school, I was really more outgoing to my close group of friends, but more on the larger scale was kind of kept to myself. But that really helped me open up and just realize that I do want to go into journalism and be like a reporter or sports reporter. So did all that in college too, did the news programs. I have a YouTube reel as well. It's out there if people want to go dive and find it, some news reels from me.
I want to see it.
Yeah. But so, I mean, I guess for you and I, we kind of use our degree to an extent with communicating,
Totally.
And I've known a ton of friends from the program who pivoted and have been doing marketing in similar roles as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder, it's so super interesting. And then after that, what was life after college? Because according to LinkedIn, I see Victoria's Secret, and then some other retail spots where you were, dealing with operations and staffing supervisors. And it says that you kind of really got into the social media marketing, there, which was early 2000s. So things were coming up there. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook was really thriving.
Yeah. So I actually worked retail all throughout high school and college. I pretty much was like doing a million different things. I was nearly full-time. I was a manager at Victoria's Secret and Maurice's and a couple other stores through college. So Victoria's Secret, I did their staffing and ops, and that was really fun because I honestly got that job because I knew how to use LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn was still a relatively new thing. I think that was, I want to say like 2013, 2014, maybe. Maybe like 2012 to 2014 in that area. So, so my DM, I was like a category supervisor. So I just sold stuff and trained people, and we were opening a new store and needed to do the staffing part. And I honestly could speak to LinkedIn. I was like, oh yeah, I love the internet. I love social media. I'd always had like a blog and was pretty quick to hop on the LinkedIn train. And that's honestly how I got that job. So I learned a lot from retail. I think I just wrote like an Instagram caption or something that got me thinking about this. I learned about customer service in retail, which is incredibly important.
It's huge.
In any type. I mean, we're providing a service. And I think sometimes we forget that when we're business owners. We're service providers first and foremost. So I learned customer service, but I also learned about hiring people and training people, which we'll probably talk about a little later. But I kind of have like an education element to my business now, which I definitely picked up some of those skills there.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I've met so many people too, like working in that retail and customer service and dealing with the good and bad of it and dealing with problems and communicating with customers. It's so important. Even people like in the industry, if they worked in the restaurant business, I think that's so huge too. Because I was like a waiter and bartender too, a little bit after college. And I feel like that has helped me tremendously with we're doing now. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. And then you stuck with social media there for a little bit, and then you got into the growth company as a copywriter. So what was that transition like?
Yeah, so that was actually my senior year of college. That's when I started my freelancing, so I worked for them freelance. It started as I was just writing blogs. I responded to like a job ad actually on LinkedIn, and it was like $20 a blog. Like it was like nothing, but I just wanted a little extra side hustle in addition to my college and retail career. And I always knew that obviously not obviously, but I always knew that I personally did not want to work in retail forever. It wasn't, I learned a lot, but it wasn't for me. And so I wanted some additional experience just, in a different area. So I started writing, and then the Growth Co., the person who owns the Growth Co. or owned it at the time, she kind of started this new company and asked me if I wanted to do social media copywriting. So I did that freelance, but it was an amazing experience. Like, I don't think I realized when I was doing it how awesome of an experience it was, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm just like writing these social posts, whatever. But it honestly set the framework. I still use skills and tools that I learned from that very, part-time freelance gig. Now, how to write a social plan, how to schedule social posts in Hootsuite, like, just little things like that. So yeah, it was really fun. And I wrote for a lot of like totally random companies. I did a lot of senior living articles and social posts, CRM companies, which back then I didn't even know. I was like, what is a CRM company? Like I was literally just Googling stuff. But it taught me a lot about research and also being able to speak to people who you don't necessarily immediately connect with or understand, which I think is super important.
Yeah, that's a great point. Working like on more, I wouldn't say obscure, but like the senior living project. I mean, I feel like a lot of us as freelancers, we take on the work, we write content articles or website copy. I've done things for, wellness and senior living companies too, and even just like different medical products. But like you mentioned, it really helps with your research capabilities too. Absolutely. And like knowing of like when to channel a certain voice and like write towards a certain industry. I think that's super important to take on those projects. Like a lot of people talk about niching down right away. I guess I love always getting the advice or like the insight from other freelancers. But did you just kind of go in of just like, I'm going to figure out my niche as I go? Or did you have an idea when you started?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had some passions, some things that I liked to do,
Yeah.
but I mean, as far as actually, working, like the work that I did as a copywriter and things, I mean, honestly, I was just working just to work. Like I was just
Yeah.
trying to earn a little bit of extra money, trying to earn a little bit of experience. And I
Yeah.
think that is important in the beginning too, is just kind of feeling things out. Like there are things that I do now that I never necessarily would have thought would be my thing.
Yeah.
But I got a little bit of experience and found out that I'm good at it, or I found some connection to it, and I ended up liking it. So
Yeah.
I definitely was not thinking like, let me find a niche in the beginning. I just
Yeah.
was sort of taking things as they came, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. I feel like that's really how a lot of people do it. And a lot of people
Yeah.
say, I'm going to focus on these type of brands right away. But it's like, figure out what services that you like to offer that you feel like you're good at and can help people with.
Yeah.
And then I just recommend taking different projects, seeing the type of people you like to work with, and then you can slowly develop what type of industries maybe that you
Yeah.
can thrive in for sure.
Absolutely.
And then as we kind of wrap up your experience, so that was a lot through college. I mean, $20 a blog as a senior in college writing is like, hell yeah. Because usually there's like, I'm going to intern and not make any money in
Right.
college.
True.
But I see General Motors as a
Yeah.
senior marketing support advisor. Was that really
Yeah.
your first big job after college?
Yeah, that was my first corporate job. So I moved to Detroit. I got hired there, and
Yeah.
I found out I got the job and had 11 days to move from halfway across the state to Detroit, and
Yeah.
that was a really awesome job. They kind of do a lot of like customer service through their different digital channels, obviously, because that's the way the world works now. So it was primarily like a support role, but it was through these different digital channels. And I learned again a lot about customer service. I learned a lot about training and development because I got promoted, a few months into that gig and was leading that department of, I don't know, maybe like 30 people or so.
Oh, okay.
Maybe more, I don't know, somewhere around there. So it was a really good experience, just having that like leadership experience in a corporate setting. And just also learned how to sell. So I was always terrified of selling too, even in retail. Like I never was really in those sales roles in retails. I was in more of like the operations and like the staffing roles. And I was like, oh, I can't sell. I'm terrified to sell. At GM, we literally would like gamify selling, or referring people to dealerships. And I was so good at it. And I don't know how, I have no idea. Like because I always had this kind of limiting belief, like, oh, I suck at sales. Sales aren't for me. That's not my thing. And I was really good at it. So I definitely take a lot of what I learned there into what I do now in terms of actually selling my own services and things like that, specifically online.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could touch into that. I mean, I definitely want to talk about that, some of the different courses that you create. But maybe we'll jump into that a little bit because I just want to know kind of what's your process like, maybe like strategies that you use to sell your service. But let's jump into that a little bit later. But then kind of wrap up, then you really went into more of like community managers for Octoly. Am I saying that right? And then Kelly Services. Was Kelly Services the company of the Growth Co. that you referenced or something different?
Nope, something different.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is kind of funny. Again, I know like my my LinkedIn background is kind of all over the place. I literally worked essentially 2 full-time jobs at the same time after GM. So Octoly was a client that I had taken on just doing like a little bit of freelance consulting for them through like my last year of college. I mean, super like part-time, nothing really too big. They were based out of Paris. And they approached me to lead their American side of things. So they were setting up shop here. They wanted to establish a presence in the US and they wanted me to lead the community management and all of that. And I was like, I have a full-time job. I don't know if I can do that. So I hired 2 other people to help me. But I mean, it ended up being essentially another full-time job almost. So I did that simultaneously while I was working at Kelly. So Kelly Services is a staffing company based here in Detroit area. And so I got hired to do their, community management, social media management, and kind of did those things pretty much simultaneously for a couple of years. Yeah.
And then, so what year then are we looking at when you did that? So it's like 2000. like not too long ago. It
Yeah.
seemed like so 2000. So you were still doing work with them like even last year.
Yes. Yep. I left Kelly a little over a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I know you started, James and Park Creative. I'm just always curious, when did you know that you could, do this on your own, or when you're like, I'm going to create my own thing and figure this out?
Yeah.
I feel like it's so hard for people to kind of take that leap.
It is. I decided that I wanted to start an actual like agency model just because I was still working full time, and I was always just taking, projects here and there. It was never like my main thing necessarily, but I started to get more and more demand for my freelance services, and I couldn't handle it all by myself. So there were things that I needed to outsource, other people that I needed to lean on, people I wanted to refer, clients to. And so I decided, let me start sort of an agency model so I can still serve everybody, or, as many people as I want to, while not driving myself crazy and working like every single day. So so I officially, filed the paperwork and started the company, I think in 2016. And I went full time, like I said, about a year ago. So 2019. So I was kind of side hustling for like 3 years. Wow. And I'm really grateful I did that. I mean, I know everybody has their own path, their own journey, but for me, it was really nice because one, I was able to save. I've saved everything that I made essentially from my business. I like didn't touch it. Like I just pretended like it didn't exist. So I had this sort of emergency fund building up. So when I did leave my day job, I wasn't terrified about paying rent, Exactly. And then also I was able to build up that reputation and the clientele and the connections, like having those contractors to be able to outsource to and lean on and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, there wasn't like a moment necessarily where I was like, I need to go freelance. I always kind of knew it might be within the realm of possibility. I guess maybe like after the first year or so, and I started to see that, okay, I was making a livable amount, at least. It wasn't a giant income from my business, but I could live on it. And I'm like, somebody put it to me this way. They were like, you're working 40 hours for another company. Imagine if you could just like, multiply what you're making now by, all those extra hours that you're going to have. And I was like, I mean, I would probably make at least what I'm making at Kelly, So I guess that was kind of the moment when I knew.
Got it. What would you say is the biggest misconception of freelancing?
That it's like working on the beach with your laptop and just like hanging out. And I always love the stock photos of like the people who have like the babies in their laps while they're working, or they're like
the digital nomads just chilling on their laptop.
Like I cannot imagine working with a baby on my lap right now. Like it's still work. So. And I'm not saying that you can't travel. Like that's one of my favorite things about being able to freelance is, during non-corona times, I can travel. Like I do like working vacations, or I have clients from all over the world. So that's awesome. But I'm not like at a resort, with my laptop in the pool. Like that's not what it's like. It's work. It's hard work for sure, but it's worth it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can't agree more. And the traveling aspect is really cool. And you can take those type of working vacations, or just like, log in for just a little bit and then kind of go your own way. Like I've done trips to even like Disney and like some other things where like spent like a couple hours just taking care of some things and then, enjoying, the most wonderful place on earth. So there we go. Yeah. Now I know you use you started a YouTube channel. So that's been I would imagine a huge lead generator for you, helping build brand awareness. How do you use social media within your strategy to market your services?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and it's kind of funny because I honestly never planned for YouTube to be like a big lead generator. I actually started a beauty and fashion channel. I just like wanted to practice editing for my film program. And I don't know, it just sounded like something that was fun. I always had a personal blog and things like that. So that's honestly how I started the YouTube channel. And then, a few years into it, and when I moved to Detroit specifically and started working directly in marketing, people started asking me about my career. They just wanted to kind of follow my life and know what I did for 8 hours of the day, plus 8+ hours. So I started just talking about freelancing and talking about social media here and there. And it turned into like what everybody, it turned into what my whole channel became. And it was just something that I was really passionate about. I mean, I'm really passionate about my career. So that's sort of the direction that it took. And now that's, that's all that I focus on. And it is the number one lead generator for me. But the funny thing is that it's aimed towards other freelancers. Like I don't really do a lot of videos that necessarily have, CMOs or marketing decision makers in mind. I'm really talking to like us, like other freelancers giving tips and tricks. And so I don't know. I'm always still shocked sometimes when people do come to me and want to hire me for marketing because I'm not necessarily speaking to them. But I think that because I show that I'm passionate about what I do and that I'm knowledgeable, I think that kind of works in that way. And then I also decided, well, since I am speaking to this audience, I might as well, build out a funnel and build out some products and services for them too. So that's when I decided to build courses and do coaching and things like that. So
how long was the process with YouTube to start seeing like more views and get people to, reach out to you? Because for me, I've been doing YouTube videos for almost 2 years, really, but more consistently now because I'm doing these live videos and having them on YouTube. And of course, like my views aren't great, but I do my best not to be like, well, shit, why doesn't like more people get there? But I just know in general, it's a long process. But I don't know if you have any other type of YouTube tips for people, because it is a great way to, promote your services and, build a community.
It is. So YouTube is a search engine. So
second largest besides your friends at Google.
Exactly. So just like it takes time to rank, a blog post and to see like some of those SEO changes that you're making on your website, it takes time for YouTube too. And it's like a slow growth process. I always tell people that I love YouTube. Like I think everybody should start a YouTube channel personally, but don't go into it thinking you're going to see, 1 million leads come in the day after you upload a video. Cause it's like a slow growth. For me, I would say after I started posting business specific content pretty consistently, I was posting like 2 times a week usually. And I don't think I've ever missed a week of uploads on YouTube, really. I just started to like this year because this year started to get a little weird in life.
But
for
honestly, everybody, for sure.
I think consistency has really helped me. I posted at least 1 to 2 times a week for a few years. 2 to 3 years before I started to see like really good quality leads and results come in. It does take a little bit of time to build up that following and that community, I'm also a big believer in bigger does not always equal better. I'm still in the grand scheme of things on YouTube, like pretty small. I have 30,000 subscribers, which to me sounds like a lot, but that's not a lot compared to, like some of the people on the platform.
Some people like promote like other marketers and entrepreneurs like reached 1 million subscribers, or like 500,000. It's like, wow, it's crazy.
Absolutely. And not to say that that's bad, but it's all about who's watching, right? Because you can have 1 million people watching who are like 14-year-old kids who are like, I found that I noticed that when I posted Instagram tip videos, those would get so many views. But the retention was really low. People would stay for like a minute. And the demographics were really, really young. They were like kids looking to, get better at Instagram, which is fine, but it doesn't really help me build my brand.
They're not going to buy any of your courses or anything like that too. It's not going to funnel like you mentioned. Then for people starting out, what are some of your tips for content strategy when it comes to video? Because obviously this is a big part of your business, but like, all right, what the heck should I talk about? How did you kind of, evolve that process and that strategy?
So I'm big on developing your content pillars is what I call them. Everyone calls them something different, but just having a couple, 2 to 3, maybe major content pillars that you're focusing on. So for me, I talk about freelancing. I talk about general social media tips and advice. And then I also talk about like, my life and my quality of life, which I don't know. That was one that I was like, maybe I should not do any travel stuff or any like community stuff. But I think it does kind of help to kind of counter what I said earlier. It kind of helps sell the lifestyle of a freelancer, like I'm being able to travel and do cool things.
I like that because it gives like people access to a different side of you and you come off more genuine and authentic. I think that's so important. That vulnerability really builds the loyal customers, regardless of how many people are watching it.
Absolutely. So I kind of cycle between those, content types. And then For YouTube specifically, I also think it's important to balance your community content and your discoverable content. So community content that's going to be like those. I do a series called Week in My Business, which is very like, that's kind of like the cult favorite of my channel. You know, like my OG subscribers watch that because it's me vlogging every day of my life. But that's not going to attract a new audience, really. Like a new person isn't going to stumble upon that and be like, oh yeah, let me subscribe to her. Very rarely do they. The thing that attracts your new subscribers is going to be those specific searchable things. So how to use TubeBuddy, an extension for YouTube, or how to use Asana or whatever, like those highly searched terms. That's going to be what hooks people in and then gets people to subscribe, and then they become a follower, a fan, and want the community content too. So I balance between those two as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Good strategy. It's something that I've been kind of looking into, of just like the tools that I use every day, like show people how I use them.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's that everyday process. So I like how you frame that. The community content, did you say searchable or consumable? You said searchable content, right?
Discoverable. Yeah. Discoverable or searchable. Content. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. It all works, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, those are some great tips for people kind of looking to, well, should I do video? Should I do YouTube? How can I implement that in my strategy? So I think a lot of people can take away from all the information you just said. But we did touch on how you really sell your services in your courses. I'm very curious you talked about how that evolved from YouTube, but how did you know what your customers wanted and what courses to sell? Yeah. And then let's get into really the copywriting side of it. Like how did you use that to market, to your ideal customers?
Yeah. Well, I listened to my audience, number one. I mean, that's honestly how I built my first course. I got a ton of questions. I started a series it was a YouTube series. It's not my podcast, but I started a series called Freelance Friday. And I found that instantly those were the most engaged with videos. They don't necessarily have like the most views, but people loved them. People had so many questions. So I would just like take screenshots of the comment section, take note of what they were asking about. And of course I would try to create more content, YouTube content, free content that they could consume about it. But some of the things that they were asking were just like, you can't answer it in 10, 20 minutes. Right. It really needs a lot more development and resources behind it. So I was like, let me put together just a quick course, and that's how I started it. I just pretty much compiled what they wanted to know, which my signature course is really about how to become a social media manager, more from the business side, because I noticed a lot of the social media manager courses were about strategy and, using the platforms and like how to upload to Instagram, how to schedule, which is important. But there was a gap in the market for like how to communicate with your customers, how to sell your services online, how to develop your pricing strategy. I didn't see a lot of that aimed for social media managers.
Interesting. That business side of it is like, what tools do I need? What templates, what structure can I have to actually get clients and make it work?
Absolutely.
It's super interesting because I've been seeing a lot of people just asking me, through even this copy co-op group, I have them really answer what are their biggest struggles with copywriting.
Yeah.
And a handful of them are like, it's really not the skill. Like I'm confident in my writing. I just feel like I'm not communicating it strong enough, or like, what can I do? What processes do I need to take in place or to put in place? So that's super interesting that you approached it that way. Really smart. But then I'm curious though, when your first course sold it out, launched, how did that go? Nerve-wracking? Did a lot of people sign up? Did they not? And then we're like, well, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm always curious. Like if I create something, I'm like, I feel like all I need is like 2 people, please. What was that like for you after you launched it?
Yeah. So I pre-sold it. I started, I put it on sale when I was like 75% done with it as incentive for me to finish it and just to.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And I think I got 2 pre-sales. I was like, yes, this is awesome. And then I think I maybe got like 1 or 2 sales on launch day or launch weekend, and then crickets. It was nothing for like 2 months, maybe 1 or 2 here and there.
What was that week in the business YouTube video like? A little bit depressing? Maybe trying to motivate yourself?
Well, see, the good thing is I was still at my day job at that time. So it was kind of like a side project. So again, like I said, I was kind of grateful that it was sort of my side hustle because I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I need this to work necessarily. It was just
didn't put all the eggs in that basket.
exactly. So it was just kind of a test. So honestly, I mean, I was happy that I had, 4 or 5 students. I was like, hey, that's cool. It's a little bit of money, whatever.
Yeah.
But you'll love this because, copywriting, I honestly, the biggest change that I made was I rewrote my sales page.
Okay.
And I took a lot of advice from, I love Marie Forleo. I think she gives like really good copywriting advice. Like her copy is just always so good. And so I really did a lot of studying from her and I rewrote my sales page. It's like very long. And honestly, that was the biggest change that I made into having now I'm consistently having, anywhere from like 20 to 40 course sales a month on no funnel. Like I really just kind of implemented an actual sales funnel, like an automated funnel. It's all been pretty organic. So
that's great.
I'm happy with that.
Wake up to a couple PayPal or just payment notification alerts. Like, hey, you made $300 last night. It's
exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Great.
Yep.
Well, I want to touch then on the copywriting side of it. And really just how you promote your services in general. Like what's your approach? Like did Marie Forleo kind of give you an idea of, speak to the pain points first really of the customer? What was your really shift there?
Yeah. So definitely speaking to the pain points is big, but also I think people didn't know who it was for. Like you have to give and I don't know all the like technical copywriting terms. So, but
I don't know.
What I did,
technical ones.
Yeah. Okay, good. But I think a lot of people didn't, like I said, a social media management course. Okay, cool. So is this for like somebody working in house? Is this for a freelancer? Is this for somebody who doesn't know anything about social media and even how to schedule a post? Like who exactly is this for? Because I think people need to be able to really see themselves in the course. So I kind of broke out different almost avatars on the sales page. And I said like, hey, this is for you if you are a, side hustler, or somebody working in corporate who wants to own their own business, XYZ. And I like painted that picture of who they were. And that was kind of easy for me because I've been a lot of those people, and so I sort of understood the different people who would most benefit from it. And then I also think just giving outcomes, like clear outcomes, because oh my gosh, I've spent so much money on courses and programs and coaches and who just like, oh yeah, like your mindset's going to be totally changed and, you're going to feel confident. But like, what does that mean? Like what does feeling confident mean about being a social media manager? Like, how do you quantify that? And mindset is super important. I never want to sound like I'm saying like, but I think like for the level, for the stage that my course is for, those folks really need the help, like getting the business off the ground. I feel like the mindset work for me at least came a little bit after that, like once I had a couple of clients. So again, it just kind of speaks to, what meeting people where they are and understanding exactly what they need in that moment.
Yeah, no, right. Like the mindset thing is great, but like after a while, it just becomes more fluff then. It's like, what are my actionable steps here then? Yeah. Okay, I can get it. I feel confident that I can do this, but like how? Yeah. Now, like tell me what you'll get from it. So I like that. This is for you if you guys are looking for this course is for you, and here's what you can achieve more or less at the end of it. Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. So then one last question about freelance then in your whole career so far. What is one thing that you wish you did when you first started that you do now? Some advice to like the early Latasha.
Yeah. Honestly, I wish I would have probably charged more. I mean, I feel like a lot of people probably say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that with a caveat though. Yeah. I say that with a caveat though, because like I said, my first freelance gig, I was making $20 a blog post. Like I don't regret that at all. And I did that for a long time too. Like they got a lot of work out of me for not that much, but it gave me so many new skills. It really got me, understanding how this whole freelancing thing works. Like it was a great experience, but I think I maybe did like the portfolio work stage a little too long. I mean, realistically, I think I could have left my day job a lot sooner. Again, though, no regrets. Like I'm glad things worked out the way that they did, because I feel like I learned a lot. at those jobs as well. But yeah, I mean, I definitely could have been charging more. And I think sometimes I still struggle with like undercharging a bit. It's just something a lot of us deal with, I think.
Yeah, same here. I've like learned that, here's my rates. Here, and like, if like asking like, what is the budget for this project? I talk about it before. It's like reframing it from what is your budget to what is the budget. Like your budget makes it seem more personal for the client. So they're just like, they could just throw out a number just to mess with you. Just like, all right, I want it the cheapest way that I can do this. But the budget, it's just more of like wide thinking of, it's like, well, I need this. I need, honestly, people listening, reframe it that way. Yeah. But even for me, it's just like, I try to then work within their budget. I'm like, I can't offer you all this. I'm not going to charge you less for everything. Let's just adjust the scope and the deliverables here a little bit. But it's tough. And the charging, undercharging, it's all a big learning lesson for sure. And
it is.
I like how you shifted though to courses, because that's something that I'm interested in doing. And with freelancers, it's like, is it all just client work for the rest of your career? Or are you going to realize like, all right, I've learned so much. Now, how can I transition this and maybe teach? Yeah. Which, like you said, that training that you did earlier in your career, I feel like it really sets you up for that.
Yeah, I love, I'm really passionate about courses and working with people one-on-one too, because not just because it's more passive income, because of course that is great to like wake up and be like, okay, cool, I got paid today. Like awesome. But I mean, it's just so much more fulfilling to me working with my students. I mean, I get a message like every day saying, hey, like you encouraged me to start a business. Like that's life-changing stuff. Like that's so cool. And I don't know. I mean, not that I don't see obviously great results from clients and that I feel like they appreciate me too, but it's just a little bit different. Like working for an established company versus helping somebody like start their career or get that confidence to work with their first client. It's just really fulfilling personally for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I want to continue investing more time into and kind of growing that side of the business because I really love it.
Absolutely. And I'll let you speak to the different courses that you're offering as we wrap up here so people can know where to find it and like look at it and see if it's for them. But a couple of last questions here that I always ask. I want to know, Latasha, what are your go-to tools that you use every day to help run your business?
Yeah, I love Asana for task management. I've been using, that's one of the tools that I learned in that first freelance copywriting gig. Okay. Kept with it. Yeah, I love Asana. Obviously I use Slack, Google Drive. Honestly, like those are the main ones that I use in the day to day. And then as far as video editing, I use Final Cut Pro. Yeah, I mean, I started on iMovie though. iMovie's totally fine. Like if you just want to create,
I've been invested in a more advanced. No. But like it's interesting because like you and I have that journalistic background. I've done Final Cut Pro and Dippix and Avid. Like I've used them all and like them, but I mean, if it comes on my MacBook and I don't have to charge it and I can do what needs to be done.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't need anything super, complex if you're just looking to put up some YouTube videos or Facebook videos or LinkedIn videos, but yeah, if you want to, go heavy with the video someday, Final Cut is a good one to invest in. For me, it's really user-friendly, but yeah, those are the main tools, honestly, that I use day to day in my business.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Last 2-part question. Burrito or pizza?
Ooh, pizza because I'm gluten-free. So it's really hard to find a gluten-free burrito. There are always flour tortillas, but gluten-free pizza is pretty available nowadays.
Yeah. So, I was going to say, because I know you're from the Detroit area, you live there now. And like Jet's Pizza here in Chicago is beloved and I love it too. I'm part of that community, the Detroit deep dish style. Are there plenty of other pizza places that offer that type of pizza, or is it really just Jets and maybe Little Caesars too kind of did it?
And Buddy's Pizza is a big one. Okay. I personally prefer Jets.
It's so good.
And they have gluten-free too. So, I like it. Yeah. But no, I like Detroit and I like Chicago style. I don't discriminate. I love the Midwest. So
which is
I like
both. Jets is kind of like our go-to now. It's but okay. So I asked this question because if you had to build your success pizza, Latasha, what are those 3 key ingredients?
Ooh, success pizza. Okay. I would say consistency, number 1. Be consistent with your content strategy or whatever it is. I would say discipline as well. That's something that one of my friends told me, like, you're the most disciplined person I know, which I never thought of myself that way, but I am never late. All that stuff is important. And I would say communication,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, excellent. Well, love those three to your success pizza, maybe your Detroit deep dish style success pizza.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Latasha. Well, thank you so much. A lot of great information here. And again, it's great to connect with you again. Happy we got to do this. And anybody watching, we're about to go do a live Whose Tagline Is It Anyway video shortly after this. We'll explain more of that in the next video. But Latasha, before I let you go from this Proceed with Passion Q&A, please let everybody know where they can follow you and then speak about the different courses that you're offering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can find me at latashajames.com. Everything's linked there. On social, I'm at the Latasha James. Everything's linked there. My courses are linked on latashajames.com. You can just click on courses in the main menu and you'll see a list of all of them.
Yeah, awesome. Everybody, please check that out. And again, Latasha, thank you so much. And looking forward to this next game show that we're doing.
I'm terrified.
Again, well, it'll be all right. Well, thank you again. And everybody, thanks for watching this live Proceed with Passion Q&A. We'll see you on the next time.